Hi, I'm Survival Bob, and this is my No Man's Sky Expeditions Guide for 2024. A Bob's Guide, if you will. This guide is designed for new and returning players who want tips and tricks to enjoy any expedition, as well as specific tips to help anyone get through the current Liquidators Expedition, which is running from July 24th through roundabout September 4th, 2024. If you're looking for something specific, check the description. I've made chapters so that you can skip the info to get right to what you need. Expeditions are timed events, usually lasting 6 weeks each, that occur several times a year. They allow you to earn expedition rewards that you can claim on any save by accessing them through the Quicksilver Merchant in the Anomaly. To play expeditions, just click play, click on an empty slot, and if the expeditions box is lit up, click it, and you will jump right in with a new character. If it's not lit up, that means there's not an expedition going on right now. You can also use an existing character to play, but we'll go over that in just a minute. First off, you need to decide if you're ready to play the expedition. This may sound silly to a veteran player, but I get this question from new players all the time. My advice when new players ask if they should play an expedition is, if you haven't made it to the Anomaly yet in your first playthrough, you should probably do that first. Expeditions are bonus content with cool prizes, but not indicative of the main gameplay experience. Can you jump right into an expedition? Absolutely. Will it be easier than a standard start in normal mode? You bet. Will you learn about the game in an easy to digest way? No, not at all. The expedition constantly gives you exactly what you need to continue the quest as you follow it. This will not help you learn how or why to get most resources, upgrades, blueprints, multi-tools, and ships in a normal playthrough's progression. Don't worry, new players, you can still do the expedition, but if you want my advice, play for a day or two in normal mode first. Follow the main tutorial quest at least until you get to the Anomaly. Or shameless plug here, watch my gameplay series to get yourself up to speed. You have 6 weeks to get it done. It started on July 24th, so you have until about September 4th, 2024. Next, decide if you want to use a new or old profile. In making this decision, it's good to know that all expedition rewards will be available on all current and future saves. The only thing you won't have is the ships, multi-tools, and stuff you collect along the way. That is, unless you continue that save after the expedition, where it will change into a normal save. Now, I'll be doing this on a new save so that I can have the most relatable experience. Plus, the first time I tried to use an existing save, my golden vector got changed into an ugly explorer, so you'll have to forgive me if I don't exactly trust it with any of my good stuff. However, if you use an existing save, you can take a limited amount of things with you that you can pick up at the Anomaly. To do this, you'll need to go to the station between the Nexus Hub and the Quicksilver guy in the Anomaly with the character and say a little prayer to Sean that everything works out. Next, decide how you want to play the expedition. Do you want to rush it and see how fast you can get through it just to get all the stuff? Or do you want to take your time, explore, build some bases, and do some ship hunting along the way? Remember, we have time. I was able to do it in about 4.5 hours my first try, and that was going at a steady pace, mainly so that I could get this guide done. Okay, so you're finally ready to start the expedition. The first thing I do is check what I have in my inventory and rearrange all my technology to take advantage of adjacency bonuses and supercharged tech slots. I'm worried about shields and movement in this expedition, so that's where I'm using my supercharged slots. Next, you should take a look through the Expedition tab and read through all the different tasks and rewards for completion. This will give you an idea of what is to come, but also let you begin to think about what you can accomplish as you travel and potentially what you can do in tandem. For example, you can kill sentinels in your mech and get credit for both. Also, it's good to know that whenever there's a storm, you're going to want to walk around so you can get that achievement, instead of just jetpacking for cover to wait it out. Now that we're all prepped and have read the mission brief, it's time to follow the marker to our ship. It's a good idea to grab some basic resources along the way like carbon, oxygen, ferrite dust, sodium, and dihydrogen. It's a really good idea to scan everything you see on the starter planet, as they often have really good secondary resources like chromatic metal or dihydrogen. Getting to your ship with a decent supply of these will set you up for a much more enjoyable experience. You're also going to want to have a good supply of copper to make chromatic metal, which you can mine on the starter planet. But I usually just buy it along the way, because if it's not available at the station or I can't get it from a pilot, I can always run back to the planet and mine some copper. As you get to your ship for the first time, you should probably decide if you even want to stay in multiplayer. PvP is defaulted to off now, so you don't have to worry about griefers as much. But there is still a chance people can mess with you and grab your stuff out of a refiner if you leave it by the starter ship. Expeditions are designed to be played with a community in multiplayer, but they don't have to be. The factor that usually causes me to turn off multiplayer is performance. If you have game lag or weird game issues, try turning off multiplayer in the network settings. This usually clears it up for me. Now you're at your ship and off to the races, or expedition stuff. Many people, including me, forget that we cannot call in the Anomaly until we warp to the next system. So you have to wait until the next system to grab any of the stuff you stashed there from an existing save, or any of your old expedition rewards or Twitch drops, if, say, you got stuck with a stupid looking ship and you want to get a different one. This means you're likely going to need a source of money in the beginning. There are a bunch of different ways to get some cash. Normal early game money rules apply here. In the Liquidator's Expedition, that rancid meat we get from killing the swarming monstrosities is plentiful and actually worth decent money, which can get you started if you gather a good amount of it. You can find other resources nearby to sell as well, or you can just go grab an emergency cartographic data map at the station. Find a crashed ship, scrap it real quick, and you're good to go. This will give you a few million for walking around money at least. If you're not experienced with combat in No Man's Sky, the Liquidator's Expedition and many of the others can be a challenge for you. Combat is not hard once you know what to do, but it can be a little confusing and even scary in the beginning. The first thing to note is that as long as you are in normal mode and you die, all your stuff drops in a marked location that you can easily find with your visor. You may have to fix some of your suit tech, but other than that, there's not much to lose other than your pride and self-respect. Now that we've got that out of the way, I'll give you a few tips to help you get through the Liquidator's Expedition combat specifically. You'll be combating 4 main forces: the stupid green swarming monstrosities, the Broodmother and her swarm, Sentinels, and the dissonant/corrupted Sentinels. They're called corrupted Sentinels, but there's another type of corrupted Sentinels, so I call them dissonant Sentinels, but you know what I mean, the purple ones. As you reach your ship, you'll be swarmed by the monstrosities. Every time you land on a pad on the ground, you'll also be swarmed. These guys will jump and spit at you, and not in a fun way. First of all, it's good to note that your shield should be able to take a few hits before losing any health, so don't panic. Now, I'd recommend if you're ever taken by surprise like this to just jetpack up and find a spot to land, like on top of your ship or a nearby building. From here, you can collect yourself and make a plan. If you're out in the open, you can fight or run. Remember, they will disperse after a few minutes, so you don't have to go too far. Finally, if you enter a ship or a building, they can't get you unless they glitch through the building floor or something stupid. Now that you're ready to fight, I'd recommend the Scatter Blaster. It can one-shot these guys, but you do have to be decently close to them. You also have a secondary weapon, which is the Paralysis Mortar, that can help you slow them down, so you can recoup or just kill them while they're paralyzed. It is critical that you maintain a good amount of ammo so you don't run out in an extended fight. In this expedition, I made a full stack at the beginning and ended up with nearly 2 stacks at the end because of all the extra I collected along the way. Second is the Broodmother. You'll have to fight her at each stage and can easily defeat her without even worrying about her brood or spit attacks by standing on top of the building. As you upgrade your multi-tool, you'll be able to take her down quicker and quicker. By the end, I was melting her in less than 2 full clips of ammo. Next is the Sentinels. This is just a normal fight with 5 waves of Sentinels. My best advice for these is to fight near a building or somewhere you can retreat to if you need to heal or let your shields recharge. Take out the repair drones and the triangle guys that call in reinforcements first. And don't be afraid to use the Paralysis Mortar. This slows things down and you can keep them locked up while you take them out. Also, remember to keep moving. I generally just strafe right or left and jump around with my jetpack. It's a good idea to leave a few of the canisters laying around if you have full shields, so you can grab them later if needed. These will give you a partial restore of your shields, so it's good to have some around when you're getting low. Make sure to use the time between the waves to check your tech, make sure nothing is broken and needs repair, eat some meat if you need to restore health, and pick up some of the extra canisters. If I have time, I'll also fix up some of the holes with my terrain manipulator when the battlefield gets too bad and I keep falling into mortar holes. Once you take out the final wave, the Sentinels will be deactivated for that planet for a while, and you'll get a marker to a Sentinel pillar. You can go to that marker and grab a free multi-tool to scrap in the anomaly for some extra cash, but be aware, in the Liquidator's Expedition, monstrosities will still swarm at the pillar even though the Sentinels are deactivated. And if you're interacting with a terminal and get hit by one of the monstrosities, it can get weird. Luckily, I was able to get it fixed by getting in my ship. If not, a reload will likely do it. Finally, we have the dissonant/corrupted Sentinels. To me, these just seem easier, except for the invisible jumpy spiders, but if you hit them quick, they aren't really that bad. Just go to a dissonant planet that isn't full of mountains and fire, if you can help it, and start a fight. They will come in waves just as the normal ones. You don't have to deal with the walkers, mechs, or quads, just large and small spider-like sentinels that sometimes turn invisible, and of course the normal flying kind. Same rules apply. Keep moving and make sure you have a retreat plan if things get too rough and you need a moment to regroup. I also found the Minotaur with the upgrades that you get in the expedition works great on them, and bonus, you get credit for 2 achievements at the same time. After defeating these, you can go claim the Sentinel Interceptor ship, which is way better than the expedition ship, even at C-Class. Now that we've got fighting out of the way, I'll go through and give a few more tips that will help you along the way. Don't be afraid to spend nanites on upgrades and blueprints to make your life easier. You will get some from the mission rewards, but you may not want to wait. Now, you will need 6,000 nanites to complete one of the missions, but once that is done, spend them all if you want. Specifically, I recommend getting a backpack refiner, which is not offered as a reward in this expedition. The standard version is all you need, but if you want the upgraded one that acts like a medium refiner, go for it. Because of the combat, I did spend some nanites on S-Class shield and scatter blaster upgrades. and because of the warping, I bought some upgraded warp modules so I could jump further. But if you think something will help you now, get it. And even if you are rewarded with it later, you can always sell the extra for nanites. Is it hyper efficient? No. But it could make your gameplay much more enjoyable if you don't have to wait on that special upgrade you want. Next, make sure to go to the station in each system you go to, not only for the upgrades and suit slots, but so that it will show in your teleport list and you can travel back to it later if you find you need to. I make it a habit to grab the suit slot from the station and the anomaly as soon as I jump into a new system so that I don't forget. You'll definitely want those suit slots as soon as possible. Speaking of suit slots, first grab the 9th slot in the second row of tech so you have all 3 supercharged slots. From there, you may want to open some space around it, but after that, go wild and put them wherever you want. Storage is always an issue on these expeditions, especially since I'm a hoarder, so I grab the free freighter as soon as I get the freighter battle. The storage alone makes it worth it for me, but you may get lucky and it could have a planetary scanner on it to help you explore the new systems. Now the remaining tips are specifically for the Liquidator's Expedition. Phase 1 and 2 are pretty simple. If you have a question on something I didn't cover, leave a question in the comments and I'll do my best to answer it. Also, read through the comment section as this community is full of wonderful advice and many people who like to help new players. One thing to remember is that you need hazmat gauntlets to grab the grub in Phase 2. After you pick it up, I'd take it back to a building before crushing it if you want the easiest way to fight the broodmother. If not, it's still not hard if you jetpack around and keep moving. I generally ignore her brood spawns and just keep all fire on her. Phase 3 is where it starts to get a little tricky. In this phase, you have to record a highly aggressive predator, grab some whispering eggs, harvest 900 resources in one burst, and eliminate 16 hazardous flora. If you know this from the start, you can have most of this done by the time you get to the drop zone. For the predator, it's a little bugged right now, in that the same creatures don't always work for everyone. But if you just keep scanning, you will find one. I got mine on this tiny planet in the same system as the 3rd drop zone, but I've heard people getting them all along the way, even underwater in the first system. The other one that gave me trouble was harvesting 900 resources in one burst. This could be worded better in my opinion. I read this as a single shot from like a blaze javelin or something and was really thinking it was going to be difficult. But once you have it selected and start gathering resources, it'll tell you that you just need to use your mining laser without letting it overheat to gather 900 resources in one sustained session. I actually did it with the Minotaur's cannon because it doesn't overheat and you can shoot for a really long time. So I didn't have to try to keep my mining beam from overheating. Phase 4 is pretty straightforward. For the waypoints, you just have to grab a waypoint marker at 6 locations. So knowing this from the start and grabbing each one you get to should complete this as you go. The Blood in the Water mission wants you to battle 3 deep sea monstrosities. Once you have the aqua jets, you can land on water and this mission becomes quick and simple. Find a large water area, land and dive in. Look through your scope for a red marker that says alluring specimen. Swim over and grab them. Make sure you have your weapon ready. I used a scatter blaster as it was pretty OP at this point. Keep grabbing these until a huge fish jump scares you. Then shoot it. I thought I was going to have to do this 3 times, but I got credit for all 3 by shooting the jellyfish that appeared right after I killed the fish monster. Finally, to hit 4 targets with 1 grenade, it's easiest to get the monstrosities as they are coming up for the first time, since they're all grouped together. I used the paralysis mortar and the plasma launcher for this. You can always just grab a larval core to trigger them if you don't catch them coming up at you anywhere else. Phase 5 is pretty straightforward as well. I doubled up by destroying some sentinels with my Minotaur from the earlier phase, as I mentioned in the beginning. For the nanites, I sold upgrades I got from killing sentinels and refined a bunch of larval cores I collected along the way, and I got over 10,000 without much effort. For the 4 sentinel walkers, I went to the station and got some secret cartographic data maps, as these all lead to sentinel buildings. You can fight through all 5 waves until you get a walker, or you can get lucky and find one guarding a manufacturing building, like I did. As soon as you get the nutrient processor, set it down with the spare ribs quest selected. It will tell you to cook one of the new rotten flesh pieces you got from the monstrosities, and that's it. Complete. Now, I'm sure you've seen the optional milestones in each phase, so make sure to do your part and kill all the bugs and monstrosities you see. Finally, don't forget to claim your rewards by clicking the patches in-game, including the one on the bottom for the phase reward. You can now also collect the phase rewards on other saves from the Quicksilver vendor and the Anomaly. Hopefully, I've answered your questions, but if not, hit me up in the comments section. If you made it to the end and enjoyed this content, you'll love my new series where I mix a playthrough with tips and tricks along the way. Like and subscribe if you want to see more. Take care, and remember, if you're going to be a Bob, have fun with it. Oh, and if you're killing bugs, make sure it's not a fellow traveler. We'll see you next time, guys. Take care.